This session is all about think like a rebel, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Rebel Ella Quinn. Hello.
Hello, it's
You
me.
here? Yeah. So look, Ella, we're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff. Like you run your own business. We're going to talk about business and how it started and all that sort of stuff. We're also going to talk about why. And like one of the things that I really wanted to get from our conversation and some of the other Think Like a Rebel chats that we're having is all about putting business and side hustles and the idea of running your own thing as an option on the table for young people, whereas previously they might have been thinking about jobs and college courses and so on. But there is another way, isn't there? And like we're going to talk about that, so that someone who watches this might ask themselves this question: wow, maybe I could do that. What do I want to do? What would be my thing? So we'll get into all that stuff. First thing, the business that you run now, tell us a bit about that. Tell us what you're doing. Let's start there.
So I run a online shop called Quinn's Pins. I started it, say like late 2018, and it's basically just all of my illustrations and designs I've ever made or ever wanted to create. I turn them into, so I've got enamel pins, key rings, stationery. I've kind of built it up over the years.
Awesome.
Yeah, it started off as a little part-time thing, but as the years have gone on, I've kind of just grown it and kept making more products until it's where it is now. So basically just...
Right, so like what software do you use for your designs,
Alan? So I use Procreate on my iPad, which is like my baby. Bring that everywhere with me. And sometimes Illustrator as well, Adobe Illustrator.
Is that what you were using in the early days as well, in 2018? Yeah.
Yeah, older iPad and not as good Apple Pencil. But I always had the Procreate and Illustrator with me because I did graphic design a little bit beforehand. So I was kind of half prepared. But yeah, I've always had the Procreate. It did start with pencil and notepad, but I decided to invest.
Good for you. So is graphic design something that you studied at school or college or uni? Like how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I had a kind of interest in it, but they never had it at school. I did want to do media, but it like clashed with the timetable. So I didn't really do much at school, but afterwards I went to college and did media. And so I did a little bit of everything in there, which I think has really helped me now. But in that media course, I did have graphic design, and that's where I kind of found the love for like illustrating and stuff like that. So it was kind of college where I really... I've always been a bit more creative. I did music and stuff at school, but yeah, college where I had the media stuff come in.
All right, wicked. So, okay, so you started doing designs. Was that like when you started your thing and you're kind of doing it as a like side hustle or part time or whatever? Was that the first time that you thought about making your own money, or had you had other kind of side hustles that had happened earlier on whilst you were at school or whatever? Like when was your first business idea? When did that pop into your head, or was it this?
Yeah, I think so. I did graphic design for a couple of years before any of the illustration or shop opened up. That must have been kind of halfway through college. That's when it all really came about. When I think back, I never at school, the thought of going into a full-time job was just put me off a little bit. So I'd always like, I don't know, I wanted to be a hairdresser for ages. And then I would think about doing that 9 to 5, having to go in and work for someone. And I was like, ugh, no, do that. That ruins it. And then there were so many different things that I wanted to do. But as soon as I thought about going and spending a 9 to 5 somewhere for someone, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I think from a young age, I always, in the back of my mind, knew that I'd end up doing something like this. But it was only kind of at the end of school when I got into that college. And, you know, I mean, when I went to Rebel, it was all kind of like, oh, hold on a minute, there's a different way that I can do this. I don't have to, you know, do it for someone else. I can work for myself and do the fun bits that I want to do. So yeah, I think.
Good for you. So when you started it, and like, what was the thing that went through your head when you turned it from, oh, I just like designing things, to, oh, I'm going to design things and then make money out of it? What led you to that? And what was the first sort of step that you took to get it? Because did you go to Etsy first, like, or did you do something else first? What was that like?
Yeah, I bought from Etsy a few times, and I've always doodled and stuff. And it was just one day, my boyfriend had said to me, "Oh, you should do something with that. Turn them into a print or something." So I'd always bought from Etsy, so I'd had a little look on there, and I thought, oh, hold on a minute, okay, I could maybe do something with these. And I collected like enamel pins on my lanyard at work when I worked in retail, and like I had a little obsession with buying them. And I was like, I wonder if I could make my own of that. So I kind of started looking into that, and where I'd bought from Etsy before, I kind of knew sort of how it all worked, and it was a bit less daunting than making a website, doing all that side of it. So yeah, I went on Etsy and just kind of gave that a go. I didn't push it too much. I just kind of put it on there, see what would happen. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I feel like that was maybe a good stepping stone without me even really realizing it.
Wicked. Did you sell on Etsy in those early days? Did you not make sales of your pin badges?
Yeah, well, the way I did it, I didn't actually make the pin. I put up a mock-up of it. I got my Photoshop skills I got from college, very minimal, but I made it look like an enamel pin, and I put it up on Etsy, and I put that it was a pre-order and that it would take a few weeks to arrive. And then it took about maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month to get a sale. So it didn't come straight away. I had to keep changing everything on the listings to see if it could get it in front of people.
Right.
For a few weeks, I did get sales, and that's when I was like, oh, God, I've got to actually order these now. So it took a little while, about a month maybe.
So do you have the equipment? Did you have the equipment at home, or did you like send your designs off, get them made, they got sent to you, and then you sent them out to the people that had bought them, right?
Yeah. So I designed them all here at home, and then I used a manufacturer overseas or in London at the time, and they make them all in batch and send them to me, and then I put my backing cards and brand it all, pack it all nice, and then it gets to the person.
Wicked. And how easy was it to find the manufacturers? What was that process like? Did you spend ages researching?
Yeah, I'm a perfectionist anyway, so I mean, as soon as I got the sales on the products, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually gonna have to get these made now. And then it took me another like week every day looking. But I think it was what helped. I just went on like Instagram, looked at how other people were doing it. I mean, it's got to not be scared to ask people. I was asking other people who made it. Not everyone likes to give their manufacturers away. So like ask for any advice if there was anywhere they could send me. And then they were just saying like, Google this, go on. Like, you know, there's some in London that you might find well. And I ended up just messaging them and chatting to the manufacturers until I felt comfortable to place an order. So it did take a very long time, but glad I did it.
So when you send a message to someone and they don't reply or they say no, how do you handle that? Because I think there's one of the things that I used to do in the early days is that I get inspired to do something, send one message, not get a reply, get a bit depressed about it, and then like, oh, I'll go and do something else instead. Like, how did you stay in the game? Like, what did it have an impact on you if people like didn't want to share? Did you feel like, oh no, this is a bit awkward? Like, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, there was a few. I never directly asked outright, where do you get them made? It was more like, how did you get started? Is there any way you'd recommend? And some people didn't reply. Some people would reply and say, I'm really not comfortable. And it did knock me back a little back then. Where I wanted to get started, and I'm kind of like overly friendly, and we'll be like, hi, how are you? Some people don't want to do that, or they're doing their own thing. So you did get knocked down a couple of times, which was a little bit heartbreaking. You'd be like, oh, but I didn't let it get to me too much, because I'd stop for like the day, and then I'd think, oh wait, no, I do actually really want to do this, so I am gonna just ask someone else or give it a go myself. And now when I look back, I completely understand maybe why people wouldn't want to, because if they've, you know, worked so hard, they don't want to just give away a manufacturer like, oh yeah. Now I'm looking at it from a different perspective. I can totally see why. But back then, yeah, I was a little bit, you could get crushed, but picked it back up the next day. And
there's always tomorrow, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yesterday's gone. There's always tomorrow. So do you print, like in those early days, did you print your own backing cards, or did you get them made somewhere else? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I did them all myself at home, at the printer at my parents' house. I lived at home then. Looking back, they were really floppy, just on bits of card. But it was good to me back then. I never had any complaints, but yeah, I would just literally get some thick card, print all that off. I did my own prints as well, because I didn't want to invest too much, being scared that I wouldn't get anything back. So anything that I could do at home, I did. Apart from obviously the enamel pins that had to get made, but anything else, if I did stickers, any prints or anything, I'd do from home. And stuff would constantly be changing as well. I'd do something for a month and then I'd be like, oh, I don't like that product anymore. It's a bit of a mess of constantly making stuff, putting it out, changing my mind. But it was all a lot from home. Did everything pretty much myself other than the pins.
One of the themes that's come through these conversations of like young entrepreneurs is this thing about, I spent as little money as I had to. Like at the time, I bootstrapped everything. I made sure that I did the bits myself that I could, and I only spent money if I absolutely had to. But the real genius about what you did, and this is why you're a rebel, Ella, is that you made money before you'd even made a badge.
Yeah, I learned that from you guys. Because when I went to your rebel class, I wanted to do graphic design. I had no product design route in me. So when I heard that thing of like, oh, you can actually sell before you buy, back then maybe I didn't think anything of it, because I was like, oh, I can't do that with making logos and stuff. They kind of have to give me a deposit, blah, blah, blah. But then after a couple of months from wanting to do that enamel pin, I was like, hold on a minute, at Rebel, they said that I could maybe try and sell it before I even buy any. So yeah, that really, I'm glad I did that. And then from then, any money that I got, I didn't spend any of it because I was still at my retail job. I would just reinvest it all until it got to the point where I could take a little bit for myself.
Nice. And did that ultimately mean that you could leave your retail job, or are you still in the job now? Like, what's it like for you now?
Yeah, I'm not there anymore. I do this full time. Obviously I started late 2018. I left just before the pandemic, whenever that was. I don't even know. But it did take a while. I did 2 retail jobs in between that before I could leave. And the whole way through, as much as I liked them jobs, I was like, I don't want to be here. I just want to do this full time. But I think that kind of fueled, my motivation to try and do it full time, which is now what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's fab. And are you have you moved on from badges? Are you still doing badges, but you've got other stuff for now? So you mentioned prints. Like, what other stuff are you doing at the moment? Yeah,
I still do the enamel pins. They are, I think, always going to be the most popular. They're the ones that I really enjoy doing. But I now do key rings as well. Notepads, washi tapes, stickers, prints. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Just lots of little stationery bits. And I'm sure I'll do something completely different as well next year. Every year, I'm like, oh, I could add this. I did tote bags for a little while as well, and mirror decals. So yeah, it's managed to expand, and I've just put them all into different products, which is fun.
And are you still doing your sales through Etsy, or have you made money in other ways? What other platforms have you used to get the cash in?
Yes, I'm still on Etsy, and I've now got my own website as well. I sell on there, and recently joined Not on the High Street. So 3, I think that's that's all where I am. Yeah, I'm on 3 different platforms. And then I haven't done any yet, but end of this year, next year, I'd like to get in physical places, like little pop-up shops, doing some stalls and stuff near me as well. That's the next thing I think I'd really like to try.
And where do you get your inspiration for your designs from? Like, is it other designers that you like, or does it just come out of nowhere and you grab it and turn it into a thing? Is there a particular theme? Like, where does your creative inspiration come from?
It will literally be at 1 a.m. in the morning. I'll be laying there and I'll think, oh my God, I could do that. If I try, there's nothing. It always just kind of comes to me. I do a lot of pun stuff as well, or just sayings. If anyone says something to me that I find quite funny, like literally my friend the other day has got cats, and she's like, oh my God, I've got cat hair everywhere. And I was like, that could be something. Loads of people have cats. It's all just funny things that people relate to that will just come to me. I've got a note on my phone of just ideas. So when I'm feeling creative and can draw that out, I'll just sit and draw it, but I just kind of have to take it as it comes. Sometimes I'll sit and like do a little bit of like what's, trending, or how am I feeling. I'll mix that in with it as well, but it really is just, I don't know, I'll literally just be walking around and I think, oh, that looks pretty. I could like, I don't know, that's a nice flower, that could go in with this, and I just pick it up from the everyday, really.
I love that. So like, I'm just thinking about, if there's someone watching this that maybe they're at school or college or uni or whatever, and they go, hey, wait a minute, I love graphic design. I love designing stuff. I've got loads of ideas. Based on what you said, there's like, pick a format, whether it's a pin badge or a print or a piece of clothing or whatever. Use your Photoshop skills to turn it into like a digital prototype. This is what the thing looks like when you buy it, and then just you write on your Etsy store, this is a pre-order and it takes a few weeks to deliver. Press go and start selling. I mean, I know there's a bit more to it than that, but that's kind of the steps. And if you make a sale, you go, oh my God, I need to figure out how to make this now.
Yeah, you do the hard bit afterwards. Then like you've got to get the sales in first, and that's when you can start thinking, oh my God, okay, where am I going to get this made? But yeah, anything, I think, really, if there's anything that you're kind of interested in and you think, oh, I'd really like to do something within that, I'd try and find where that kind of passion hits. Sounds really cheesy, but like with graphic design, for example, I did that for ages, and like I liked it, but it was so specific, the part that I liked, and I found out the bit that I actually liked doing was just the designing. Everything else I was like, I'm not really too bothered about that. And then that's when I got into the illustrating, and I thought, actually, it's illustrating that I like doing, not so much. I love, obviously, still like doing that, but it's kind of about finding where exactly and what you can do with that as well. So yeah, like if it was products, for example, there's loads. You don't even have to have the skill to make it yourself on Photoshop. If you just type in like tote bag mock-up or whatever you want to make mock-up, there's so many online where you can make it yourself. You don't even have to physically make it. And if you don't want to put it on Etsy, you can email people that you think might be interested in selling it. And just don't be afraid to contact people, call people, email people, even friends and family. Like my first few sales were friends and family. So if you know like a really cool uncle that's got some kind of business and you think you could do a product with it, just like email them and see how it goes. You've got nothing to lose. So.
That's a great idea. I love that. So the messages that I'm getting from you about thinking like a rebel: spend as little money as possible, use your customers' money to make your product, not your own. I love that one. That's one of my favorites ever.
Right.
But also like I'm getting from you like what excites you. Go do the stuff where your passion is and what's lighting you up, and focus on that.
Yeah. There's always like bits. People say like there's always going to be parts in jobs that you don't like, which is true, but you can make the bits that you like more. So with like, for example, I can only refer to making logos in the graphic design. I liked it all, but there was that one bit that I really loved. So I just kind of took that bit and make that bigger and focused on that bit. And then the other parts I still have to do. But that bit of joy that I get from illustrating makes the little bit like the other boring bits more worth it. So just
that's genius.
Like, bigger and focus on that more.
This is what I need to do in my business, Ella.
I help you out. Yeah. I say all this, I'll probably go home a bit. I still haven't done my tax return. That's what I mean. I put off the other bits, but
yeah, you're still all right. You still got a couple of months. You're all right. So I guess the other bit that came to me is the importance of sales. And obviously you went on Etsy and someone found you after a month. But I love that what you said about being proactive, and you've got a bunch of friends, family, friends of friends, friends of family, neighbors. You've got a whole kind of market of people to go and pitch to before you have to sell to a stranger. And I think that's a really cool way to test your process and your product, isn't it? Like, I've got this idea. I've got like, it doesn't really matter quite so much if my business owning uncle doesn't entirely like the thing, but I can get all that stuff sorted out with people that I know, so that when I go to the marketplace and strangers are buying from me, like I've ironed out all of the problems. Is
Yeah.
that something that you were able to do by selling locally first,
Yeah, I mean, I kept it hidden at first. I didn't really tell anyone because it's a bit embarrassing. If I don't get any sales or anything, then I don't want anyone to know. But after a couple of weeks, I was like, if I want to get anywhere, surely, I've got to find someone that's going to really want this product. And my first one was like a little cheese pin that said "Brie Happy." And I was like, I've already niched down pretty much to people that like cheese. So I went on like Facebook and went on some cheese pages. There's a page for everything on there. Went on there and sent it in there. Some of my friends liked it. And yeah, I would ask for feedback as well, because I think if anyone's going to tell you something's crap, you want to hear it from your friends or family first. So definitely do that as well. Just ask for it before you get anyone you don't know and don't want advice from telling you. You can ask the people that you know care about you. That's always a great way to do it, I think.
Yeah, I love that. So look, have you got any, are there business owners in your family, like your parents or brothers or sisters, or is there anyone around you that is an entrepreneur or a business owner or a side hustle? What does that look like for you?
I haven't actually got anyone in my family that does it, which I think a lot of people are normally surprised by, because I think I get it from someone. My family have all been like, fueled me to do it and told me to do it. But I think, I don't know, my boyfriend does, like pretty much he works from home as a web designer, and he was into it before I was really. I had no idea what I was doing, just at college, working retail. He had finished uni and wanted to do his own web design business from home. And I think just seeing him being able to work from home and not going in made me think, oh, I don't have to go into a job like I've seen everyone else do. I could do exactly what like Dan's doing, but do what I enjoy. So yeah, I think, but my sister's like 7 years younger. So I've always said if she wants to, I can help her out, and maybe we could start like a trend in the family or something. But
Yeah, that's super cool. It's so interesting that you're the first in your family to do it. It's the same for me. You started a lot earlier than me. I was 30 before I knew that running a business was even of interest to me or in my head.
yeah.
Knowing what I know now, I'm going, oh, I wish I was selling to my mates at school. Like I missed the
Yeah, I
chance.
wish I started when I was like 16 and told everyone.
Yeah. How old were you when you started your thing?
I must have been going on 20. I'm 24, nearly 25 now. But it's hard to say, but like I wish if I could go back to myself when I was 16, I'd be like, oh, here's like start now, because I would have had another 4 years ahead. So it's just wishing that I'd started earlier, really. But okay.
You've lost Ella, or maybe you've lost me.
Oh, hello.
Oh, you're back, Ella. There was
I
a
just went
previous
on a whole
moment.
rabbit.
It was a really, really good point you were making, and you kind of froze like this.
Oh, did you hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to say it again.
Well, say it again anyway, in case other people didn't. So, like you said, you were unsure because, like, it's hard to say, like whether you were about 19 or 20 or whatever. And then
Yeah.
for a second, just repeat that bit for me.
So I was about 19 or 20 when I started, which a lot of people say is like early and quite young. But I was saying, if I could, I wish I could. Maybe I wouldn't, but if I could go back and tell my 16-year-old self, like, oh, do it now, because that's when I started to be like, oh, I've got to leave and go on to college and stuff. If I'd have known what I was doing now back then and got 4 years more of doing it, who knows? I would have been 4 years ahead. But maybe if I went back and told myself, it would have been completely different in the wrong way. So
yeah, super cool. So, like, tell me what, because some of the people that are watching this will be interested in coming to. We're going to be running Rebel Business School boot camps for young entrepreneurs in next year, which is super exciting. I think I'm interested to know, you've got the use your customers' money and sell before you make. You got that lesson. Like, how else did the Rebel School experience help you with your business ideas and your ambitions and so on? What other stuff did you pick up from the school?
I think all just general tips, really. Like, one that really stands out was that, like, eat the frog, get the thing done that you don't want to do first. And I think that really held me back for a while, because there would be so much stuff that I wouldn't want to do, As I was saying earlier, like you just want to do the stuff that you really enjoy, which is great, but unfortunately you have to do the other boring stuff as well. So that's one of the main things that I really picked up on. So all the time now, if there's, apart from the tax returns, we don't talk about that, anything else, if there's anything that I really, don't want to do, I always get that done first, because that just kind of fuels the day. And I think I have more productive days from doing that. And also just, I remember you all saying about not being afraid to go out and talk to people, like call people, email people, and not hide your business really. And the fact that, I don't know, just kind of positioning yourself like as an expert before you even get started. I think all that mindset of it, I learned a lot of the mindset and positivity from Rebel, which maybe I wouldn't have had without going to that class, because that's what really made me think in a different way.
I love that. So how do you motivate yourself on days when you're not feeling it? Because that's the thing I noticed about working from home and running your own thing. You go, oh, great. Whereas if you had a job, you'd be in the car or you'd be on the plane or the bus going there,
Yeah.
How do you?
Sorry, I lost you for a second there. Got you back. I think I've made, even when I lived at home, I made myself a little area to sit and work, and that would be my workspace. So when I was at home, I had my, either in the dining room, at the table, at the desk in my bedroom, and that's where I would go, and I would kind of put my phone down and write myself out to-do lists of things I wanted to do. And I wouldn't, I'd try my best not to get distracted and be like, okay, I've got to do these 3 things, and then I can get up. I'd like break up the day, which I still do now. It's even better now because I've got the office. When I walk out of that office, I know to try and stop working. Sometimes it doesn't work. I do sit there and like doodle in the evening, but I enjoy doing it, so it's okay. But I think having that space to work, and then not being afraid to rest as well. After a couple of hours, when I first started, I'd be like, no, I need to sit here 9 to 5 and I get a half-hour break at lunch. That's it. But the whole fun part of not having to go into a job is that you can take a break when you want, as long as you're sensible with it. That's the whole point. If I want 5 breaks in a day and that's how I work, that's completely fine, as long as I get that work done. It's just about, say by 12, if I'm absolutely shattered and I don't want to do anymore, I don't have to do anymore. Or I don't know, if I want a 2-hour break, as long as I know that I will work there until 5, sometimes 6, and get that work done. It's just all about working around your brain rather than forcing your brain to work the way you want it to go, which isn't always the best way to go. So yeah.
So basically, like you think like a rebel because you want to do what the hell you want when you want, and not have to go and do what other people say you have to do. That's why I like this stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit like the stubbornness of like, I don't want to work at that time, so I'm not going to.
I can see what's going on here, Ella. I like this. Okay, so imagine that you were going back to start your thing again, and you're 19 years old. Like, what stuff would you do differently if you were armed with the knowledge that you have now, kind of 4 years in?
I think I would create a lot more, which I know is very easy to say looking back now. But I think, for example, I only made that 1 pin, and I remember thinking that I could, once I did kind of get the money back for that 1 pin, I did hold off for quite a while because I was comfortable with that one design. I didn't know what else was going to do well. And I just kept that for ages, for must have been about 6 months. I only had one thing in my shop because I just didn't want to go any further. I always say, if I was to go back and start again with the knowledge that I have now, it would just be invest a lot quicker. Once, fair enough, I didn't want to put all that money in one go, but as soon as I got that money back, go again, like constantly, just keep going. Get on like Instagram. I held a lot of it. I told family and friends, but I didn't actually get on social media very quickly. So I think I would just go for it a lot quicker, which is what I always try and tell people if they're wanting to start a business and they're debating it. I'm like, just do it, because if it works, you're going to look back and wish that you'd done it sooner.
Yeah.
it doesn't work. Just,
What was holding you back, Ella? Was it fear?
Yeah, I think it was just a lot of, if I fail, have I wasted money? Have I wasted time? It's just embarrassing if, I've got it all out to all these people, made an Instagram, and then it doesn't work. But I've kind of lost that fear now. Obviously, the money bit is still always going to be there because you never know what's going to do well.
Yeah.
But the embarrassing bit, I kind of don't really get embarrassed anymore. People might look and think, what the hell is she doing? But I don't really care, because at the end of the day, if I don't get it out there and I don't try something, it doesn't work. If I make a design and no one likes it, trends change as well. Like, it could work in a few years' time. It doesn't, like, at the end of the day, you don't know until you try, like, no matter what it is. So yeah, I think back then I was just way too scared of what people thought. That was a big thing. I kind of still get it a bit now, but with starting a business, I think you have got to think differently and think, oh, so what? Like, I'm going to succeed. Doesn't matter.
So I bet you've done designs that haven't worked that well.
Yeah, I have. All the time there's like, and that's kind of what helps, is if something doesn't do so well, I'll know for next time, like, okay, maybe that's not so much like my target audience. And them things, I've had products that I made like 2 years ago that haven't done very well, that today I can't keep in stock. So it's kind of just, as trends go and as people find you, something's always going to do well. There's like 8 billion people in the world. Someone's going to like that one design. But yeah, there's always stuff that isn't as popular, and they're the stuff that I can kind of, okay, remove that from the shop for now. I'll put something else back in, and maybe I can bring that back in a bit later when there's more people. But yeah, there's always things that don't do as well as others.
Okay. And like, it doesn't matter, does it? You could just go, well, I'll just change it, or maybe I'll sell it later, and I don't care what anyone thinks. I love that.
You've just got to make what you like.
Yeah, 2018 Ella was like slightly like, oh, I'm a bit scared about putting this out there. What you've learned is you did it, and nothing bad happened, so I can just keep doing it then.
Exactly. Yeah, got a little bit of embarrassment to myself. Like, at the end of the day as well, no one knows. Like, or maybe even if no one's going to know if them products didn't sell. Only you will, because you're the only one that can really see your stats and sales. So it doesn't matter. Like, it's all right, it's embarrassing to you and maybe a couple friends if they say, how did it go? And you're like, oh, a bit crap. But it doesn't matter, because your friends aren't going to judge you. And if anyone else does find out, like, it does not matter at all. There's going to be something else that does better. So you've just got to take it on the chin.
Right, Ella, number one tip for anyone that's watching this and have got creative talents, they can design stuff, they could make things, if only they sold it, they could figure out how to do it. What would be your number one tip to help someone that's thinking about whether they should have a go at something? And you might have already given it, but like, stick it in a sentence. Your number one tip, Ella, what is it?
I'd say just find the passion of the thing that you really like doing. Find what product, where would you want to put that? And as I say, give it draw it out, give it a mock-up and send it out to someone. You don't have to make it, just do it. Because if I could go back and tell my 16-year-old self, I'd be like, I'll just start now. Don't put it off. Just, go out, email people, or do the mock-up like I did. There's always a way of making something before you've even done it, and sell before you buy it yourself.
This is genius. Like, we don't need to run 2-week courses anymore. You just summed up a 2-week course in like one sentence.
That's it. Save your money.
Follow the passion, mock it up, figure out how to stick it in front of them and ask them for cash. That's basically it, right?
Bish, bash, bosh.
All you creatives out there, that's what you need to do. Ella, it's been absolutely awesome. Thank you for giving up your time to chat through and talk about how you think like a rebel. And just before we finish, where can people find out more about your business? Just do a blatant self-promotion of your channels and your website. So look at your face like, oh, I get to promote my.
This is what I've been waiting for.
That's the game.
No, my website is just quinspins.com, and my Instagram's quinspinsuk. That's probably the best two places. My Instagram just links to everything else. So
beautiful. quinspins.com and quinspinsuk on Instagram. Superb. Ella, you're absolutely amazing. You inspire the Rebel team all the time. We talk about you all the time behind your back, actually, but don't worry, it's all good. Thanks
thing.
so much for joining us. Please can you stay on for 30 seconds just while I end the live stream and
Yep.
a quick chat before we close. Think like a rebel, everybody. That was Ella from Quinn's Pins. See you again soon.